Gold Roger, the man who became king of the pirates. No one thought it was possible, but conquering the Grand Line is what brought this man his fame. Surprisingly, there's not a lot known about who this character is, aside from him being the greatest pirate of all time. So let's go through what this man's history once was. Roger was born in Logtown, and it would seem that within his time there, he'd been around a few places. Hell, Brooke even refers to him as a rookie more than 50 years before the current storyline even began. Before he formed his crew, he met Silvers Rayleigh, a young man who was living on a ship he had stolen after his house burnt down. Roger, being very optimistic, said that it was a fated meeting and asked Rayleigh to join his crew. Apparently, if you want to form a crew, then the first person you meet in a troubled situation will be one hell of a member. Anyways, 26 years before the start of the story, Roger unfortunately came down with an unknown incurable disease, and with this horrible news, he decided to pitch one last hoorah with his crew into the Grand Line. During their journey, they reached the lighthouse at Reverse Mountain. He met Crocus and recruited him as his doctor to keep him alive until their journey was complete. During their journey, it took them through Skypiea and later into Water 7, where the shipwright Tom built them their ship called the Oro Jackson. On the journeys he went through, he encountered two of the most powerful people he would ever face, Vice Admiral Monkey D. Garp and Edward Newgate, aka Whitebeard. It's said that Whitebeard was the only one capable of matching Roger in combat. And before reaching the island at the end of the Grand Line and said to hold the One Piece, Roger encountered the flying pirate Shiki, who heard that Roger located an ancient weapon. Shiki wanted to take advantage of the situation and tried to join forces with Roger so they could take over the world. Roger refused Shiki's offer and said that he wanted to be free and do what he wanted. A battle ensued between the two crews but was interrupted by a storm. And despite Shiki getting a piece of steering wheel lodged into his head that almost killed him, Shiki came to have a great respect for Roger. Near his death, Roger had a final meeting with Whitebeard, where he told him about the nickname the government gave him, Gold Roger, and the secret of the Will of the D. In the final days of Roger's reign, he attained more wealth, power, and fame than anyone could imagine. Though now known as the Pirate King, Roger was well aware of his own mortality. As if seeing the end, he disbanded his crew in secret. Before his death, he told Rayleigh he wouldn't die. He informed Whitebeard that he was going to die before his execution. Whether he was referring to his illness or him giving up to the Marines is unknown. Also, at some point, he met Portgas D. Rogue, a woman that would later become the mother of his son Portgas D. Ace. Eventually, Roger turned himself into the Marines and was scheduled to be executed. While in prison, he asked Garp to take care of his son when he was gone, saying that an infant child should not be labeled a criminal for his family ties. Although Garp said he had no obligation to do so, Roger knew he would do it anyway. Thinking the Marines would make an example of him to prevent others from becoming pirates, they immediately set up his execution in Logtown. But as he was about to die, Roger yelled out his infamous last words. The swords of the executioners fell, and the greatest pirate of them all died. What was thought to be a warning to all and extinguished the hopes of all pirates had failed. The last words of Roger ignited the excitement of the world and thus began the Great Age of Pirates, dubbed by few as the Age of Dreams. The echoes of his influence resonate further into the current era and have shaped most of the world after his death. As far as directly influencing major contenders, those known to be present at his execution include his apprentices Shanks and Buggy, Crocodile, Doflamingo, Mihawk, and Gecko Moria, and the revolutionary Monkey D. Dragon. And it can be assumed that their conversation with Shiki and Monkey D. Garp, that former Fleet Admiral Sengoku attended as well. 22 years after his execution, as Whitebeard was about to die, he revealed to the world that Roger's treasure, One Piece, is real, and inferred the consequences of what would happen once it was discovered. This triggered the beginning of the new age of pirates to be created out of Roger's legendary treasure. The legend of the King of Pirates and his treasure One Piece gave start to the Great Age of Pirates, where many pirates sailed in search of its location or to follow in Roger's footsteps. Roger's will has been inherited and retransmitted by Whitebeard's last words, which started the new age of pirates. Silvers Rayleigh once said, "In the last moments of his life, he turned his fading flame of life into a huge fire that enveloped the world. I've never laughed more than on that day. I've never cried more than on that day. I've never drank more either. He was our captain, and he was a magnificent man."